starting with the next slide, fragmenting the tables in the database. As I have already told you about this fragmentation, as you have already studied about this fragmentation in operating systems, that is a similar thing. And you can see particular tables that include the transaction data that can have a large gaps in their allocated memory space due to the fast growth, because we are changing our data in the tables again and again due to the fast growth or frequent changing of the data sets, as well as the insertion and deletion of the data records. There is a large gap in between these tables, and these gaps can be filled with the help of fragmenting the tables in the database. This fragmenting of the data on the hard drive always lead to the repeated performance problems, since these repeated problems can cause the hard disk failure. So in simple measures such as creating an index can rectify these problems. That means there is only one solution for this fragmenting table in the database by using the indexing. Now what are the indexing? There is a concept of fragmenting index. Concept of fragmenting index. This is an important topic in concept of fragmenting of the tables in case of database in SAP ABAP. To reduce the fragmentation of database table, you must convert the tables. The first one you think you need to be keep in mind, the first thing for fragmenting table is to reduce the fragmentation of database. You must convert the tables. During table conversion, these SAP systems creates a new table and transfer the data to this table. Afterward, the system deletes the old one table, fragmented table, and replace it with the new one table. This was the concept of fragmenting index. Again, I am writing here about this fragmenting index. Fragmenting index to reduce the fragmentation of database table, you must convert the tables. During table conversion or conversion, the SAP system creates new table and transfer the content or data from old table to new created table. Afterward, system deletes the old table which was fragmented table and replace it with the new one. And this process is called fragmenting index. Now come to the next topic, the data class. When we create the transparent table in the ABAP dictionary, we need to set the technical properties of these tables. And there is a one technical property which is called data class. Now you can see in this figure, we have mainly four types of tables: master data tables, organization data tables, transactional data tables, and system data tables. The database systems had different type of physical storage areas known as table spaces. That is called table spaces. The data class, the data class specifies or defines which table space is used for a specific table within the database system. Which table space is used for a specific table within the database system. So we have mainly four categories of the data class. As I have already discussed about this one, data classes. The first one is master data. Second one is transaction data. Third one is organizational data. And the fourth one is system data. Now about this master data, it is a data that is seldom modified. It has a property of seldom modified. That means which are rarely modified data. As I already discussed about this kind of master data, when you get the your admission in your college, you need to enter some more information, like you need to enter the parents occupation, the parents mobile number, your address, which is seldom modified, because once you have get the admission in any college, we no need to be modify all of these data, because from first semester to eighth semester the same data that will be used during the each semesters, so that is seldom modified. Another example, you can see that the address, your address, your name, your telephone number, your parents telephone number, etc. Second is transaction data. It is a data that is frequently modified, frequently modified. Third one is organizational data. It is a data that you can define when you customize and install the system. When you customize and install the system, like SAP system, like PDM data. System data. Now, system data is the data that the SAP system needs. SAP system needs data. For example, the SAP NetWeaver has some already stored data that we can use directly in our programs. All these are your tables are stored in the physical database space. This was all about the data class. Next topic is about the size category. This was the also a technical setting of the transparent table, the size category. Now, what is the size category? The size category describes the expected storage requirement for the table in the database. When the system creates a table in the database, it reserves the initial extent. There are a number of types of size category which are varying from 0 to 4. Similarly, you can see the here is the size category for table A is 1, table B is 2, for table C is 3. Now you can see in this table A, we have divided into the number of extents. That means you can increase this extent by specifying the size category. For the table A, this is showing the initial extent, which is a system defined extent. First extent that you can define, user can define. Second extent that also can be defined by the users. The size category specified in the ABAP dictionary determine that these additional extent have a fixed size. Depending on the database system you require, each size category has a fixed extent size. Now, one more thing that I want to tell you here, the most important thing, the size of the initial extent. You can see in this figure, the initial extent of the table A, table B, and table C, all are the identical for all the size category. The next topic, the log data change. You can use logging to record and to store the modification to the entries of a table. To activate logging, select the log data change that I have already shown to you in case of SC11. By clicking on the technical setting, there in the last page, you can check the log data changes checkbox there. Selecting the flag in this ABAP dictionary is not sufficient to trigger the logging, and logging is only performed if it is enabled in the system profile, and that you can do with the help of technical settings. These are some parameters that are used for this logging settings. You can see there are number of settings that I can explain here. You can see there are number of settings which are predefined in the system. These are the settings and these are the description. The settings you can see REC oblique client, and this type of setting, that means if you want to be log all the clients data, all the transactions that are going in the database, you can use this type of setting. Then REC client equal to 000, be specifying from 0 to particular client. That means if you want to be store the log of a particular client, log specified. Another setting, that means if you want to be stop the logging, just pass the parameter REC oblique client equal to off. Then it will automatically disable or deactivated the logging capacity in the system. Now the question arises how we can check this logging of these tables. There is a some transaction command by which you can see the logging history. You can display the log with the help of with the table history transaction, and the transaction is this is the transaction that can use for checking the log, and the transaction is SCU03, or simple you may write SU3. It will show you the table history transaction. Table history transaction. This was all about the lesson number 1 that we have completed today, and this is an assignment that you can do onto your systems. Okay, thank you so much.